Hey everyone, it's Chris from Smithy Finance, and this is your 2 p.m. Market update for May 23rd, Friday, May 23rd. So we woke up this morning and soon we heard the news that Trump was talking about the tariffs again. 25% tariff on Apple phones made anywhere other than the US. That's the threat. And also 50% tariff on Europe because their negotiations are going slow and Trump's getting fed up. And he said, okay, 50% starting June 1. Of course, this is all part of the negotiating ploy, and the market sold off pretty hard right away, 500-600 points on the Dow. But it didn't hold because we've seen this movie before, right? And we know that there's going to be some resolution to it, and it's not the end of the world for sure. So right now we have the Dow is down 120 points, so almost nothing, and Nasdaq down 100 points. That's 0.5%. So not a lot. We do have a movement in the gold market. Gold is up 70, and we see this quite often when we get a tariff scare. The gold moves right away. Silver's up 40 cents. Good move. It had been flat to slight negative even just a few hours ago. Copper is having a big move today. That is up 18 cents. That's almost 4%. Big move on the copper market. 487. That's a very good price on copper. Now, the other thing we heard on the opening for us in the uranium sector was, and I'm going to get the language right on this, but the speculation, and it's very, very strong and almost for sure true because of the way the stocks are acting. Trump to declare a national emergency over uranium reliance and easing reactor approvals to jumpstart the industry. So that's a big deal. And, uranium, I've talked about it, not lately, but I talked about it in my early videos. I've owned Energy Fuels and on top of that, the UUUU and also some NextGen and NXE. Actually, I own NextGen through a holding company called MGA. I'll talk about that some other day. We don't want to keep this video too long. But in any event, these uranium stocks are cooking big time. Energy Fuels is up 16% right now. URE, I own a little bit of that. That's been crappy. That's up 20%. I'm still down. I think my average is around $2, and it's up 20% today to $1.20. So it goes. I sold a little bit of the Energy Fuels because that's my job, is to sell into these movements, but just a little bit. I think it's going to go higher, but I've sold a little bit up, as I always do. Now, look, I talk about my specific stocks a lot here, and you're welcome to do your own work and buy them if you like them, not investment advice. But look, this trading strategy works for any stock, any sector. So you've got to sell the ramps so that you can buy the dumps. We see it all the time, and we're seeing it right now in MicroStrategy, or strategy as it's called, MSTR. And it's a real question. I'm a little bit concerned with the action, but I think it's overdone. So what we've had lately is Bitcoin, of course, hit 112,000 US, new all-time high, which is amazing and great. But at the same time, MicroStrategy, which had been the best play, the best way to play Bitcoin for a long time, has actually come down a little bit, and it's really, badly underperformed. And one reason, we had Jim Chanos, who is a famous hedge fund guy in the U.S., short seller. He went in and shorted strategy and bought Bitcoin, and lots of people have tried to do that and failed miserably. But he's got some traction here. And Bitcoin, even yesterday, hit 425. MicroStrategy yesterday hit 425. This morning, it got all the way to 367. Big dump. And at the same time, we're seeing IBIT hit all new time highs. That's the BlackRock ETF. So I have actually sold a little bit of my IBIT to buy some MSTR strategy. Rightly or wrongly, I think strategy deserves to trade at 2+ times its value in Bitcoin. They own about 600,000 Bitcoins. If you went out right now and tried to buy 600,000 Bitcoin, you would send the price of Bitcoin way higher. The float just isn't that big. So I think it deserves to trade at a premium. Its options still trade at healthy premiums to the share price. Not as much as it was. The volatility's come down a little bit, or the implied vol of the calls especially. But I think it deserves to trade at 2 or 2.5 times, even more. We saw it trade at 3.2 times its Bitcoin value back in November, where the stock went over 500. And here we are with a Bitcoin price above where it was, and we're in the upper 300s. So it goes, man. I'm sticking with my guns. I think it is the play, and we're going to get through this little bit of a crappy period and presumably rebound strongly. I could be wrong on that. As always, do your own work. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about. I did say talk about Reddit. A couple of days ago, it came down on a downgrade. It got all the way to 95 or so. It's back to 102, 103. I like the stock. Super Microcomputer, SMCI, I've traded that really poorly. I sold near the low on the earnings. Bad mistake by me. I didn't have a big position, and I was distracted by other things. But anyway, it had a huge bounce up. And now it's selling off a little bit from that. So it's at 39 or so. And I think that could be a buy. That's something on my radar. As I said, copper is up big, 485. That should be really good for my Ivanhoe, for any of the copper companies. So the Ivan, we talked about mining, right, the other day. And, they had an earthquake, or seismic activity, as they call it. Now, imagine that. Imagine you're 2 miles or 1 mile underground and there's an earthquake, or 500 meters underground and there's an earthquake. Man, you are susceptible to death in a big way. No injuries. They got everybody out. It was tremors, not a full-on earthquake. But there was some minor damage. I thought it was only 2 or 3 days worth of damage. It appears as though it might be a week or two before they're back to, maybe even 3, who knows, before they're back to full mining. So that will impact them a small amount in the short run, but won't impact them in the long run. The stock's at 1290. I think it's a buy here. It was over 20, right? It's $8 below where it was just a few months ago. And I saw on the IA there was insider buying, 5,000 shares by a director at $11.40. It's $11.70 right now. I like that one a lot as well. And my Saturn SOIL is acting well, the oil stock, but oil's still in the doghouse. There's no great rush, but I like buying when there is no interest. When all the energy, all the air has been sucked out of the sector, everybody hates it and has forgotten about it. That is when you want to buy it. And as I said, you can apply this to almost anything, but make sure the balance sheet is good on any stock that you're averaging down on. Make sure their basic business is good and the balance sheet is strong, because an average down on a levered company with too much debt, that stock can go to zero. And I've seen it way too many times in my career. It's amazing how it can happen to a company that you would never dream that it could happen. And it does happen. So we have to be careful on that. We want to avoid the big loss. Even though we average down on stuff, if the story changes, you've got to, sell it at some point. And, so it goes. I think that's all I've got. Holiday Monday for the US. Canada is open. So I'll talk to you next week. Have a good weekend. Talk to you later.